Okay. Good morning, everyone. Most of you don't know me, so let me introduce myself first. My name is Manish Gupta, and I'm from India. I'm working in Myanmar here for last 2.5 years. I came to Myanmar in January 2017, and I work for Two Group, one of the largest hotel chains in Myanmar, and we manage Orient Palace and Myanmar Treasure Hotels and Resorts here. Prior to this assignment, I was working in Shangri-La Hotels. So I worked there for about 8, 9 years. And I was the financial controller. I used to work in Shangri-La, Bangkok. And after that, I moved to Chiang Mai. Then I worked a few months in Philippines and a couple of months in Yangon before I joined this group. This speech and speed is okay for you, or I should slow down? Fine for you? Okay, because everybody has different preferences. Sometimes I may get a bit more faster while I'm doing the presentation because I sometimes get carried away with the subject. My passion is teaching. I'm from finance background. I'm a chartered accountant from India, and I learned most of my hospitality finance from Shangri-La. And while I'm working here, especially in the operations, I find that people sometimes need some help in understanding some of the complex financial terminologies. That's why I guess you are here to understand a bit of more on finance side. So this course is executive course. Basically, it's an overview of the financial terms. So we're going to be learning what are the different financial terms that we use in the hospitality and what are more important for the business heads. Rather than going into the GL and the P&L presentations, we will not do that. We will learn more on the strategic part of it today, so that you can manage your profitability of your hotels or of your departments. So this one is for general, not any specific, not specific to my department. So I will not go in very deep details, but you are welcome to ask me questions if you want. If you have any questions, just let me know. After the class, we can handle it. During the class, we will be breaking for maybe 10 or 15 minutes just for water or tea or coffee, anything you want. Okay. And then other than that, the class is scheduled to be finished by 11. I mean, it's scheduled at 11:30, but I added a couple of things after I announced the course. So it may carry you over for another 15, 20, 30 minutes. So I hope you won't mind that. If you want to go early, it's okay. Okay, so let me start. So the agenda for today is mostly to interpret the performance matrices, interpret financial results to maximize the result, how we diagnose the performance issues, and then we take the strategic actions. We will not go into the strategic actions in deep because every situation requires different strategy. and we cannot cover everything here. So after the class, you will be able to analyze the impact of your performance, hotel's performance on your return of investment, and then what are the different performance matrices tells different people. Everybody has their own idea of managing the hotel's performance. Some hotels want to improve on the occupancy. Some hotels want to improve on the rates. Some hotels want to improve on the total revenue. And some are focusing on the cost. So everybody has different strategy, but the goal is the same, to maximize the profitability of the hotel, right? Or to maximize the guest impact. So some hotels, they don't strategize or they don't really focus on the ADR, on the occupancy. They mostly focus on the customer satisfaction because they feel that if we drive the customers, it will drive the rates and the business by itself. So they take care of the customer more than anything else. So it depends on what is the strategy of your hotel. So we will be learning only on the performance matrices and how does it impact the profitability. Okay, so there are some traditional performance matrices which used to be the main focus. So we're going to be looking at that one by one. And then we will look at the future, what is more on the current trends. Okay, so the first one is occupancy percentage. Everybody know what is occupancy percentage, right? It's just the number of paid occupied rooms divided by the total available room size. And it tells you how many rooms are occupied in the hotel at any given point of time. Usually, different hotels require different, but the accounting standard requires it only paid occupied room nights to be calculated in this performance matrix. So the complimentary room nights or house use room nights are not considered when we are talking about occupancy percentage. So technically, you may want to have 100% occupancy, correct? But actually, technically, the hotel will never achieve 100% occupancy in financial terms, in accounting terms. In operational terms, it's different. Operational people, his room is occupied, no matter it's paid or not paid, it doesn't really matter to them. For them, room is occupied. So they may say 100%. But usually the finance side, they don't consider the house use or complimentary room nights as a paid, as an occupancy percentage. So usually in my experience also, we used to fight with the GM that GM want to show 100% occupancy because the hotel is fully occupied. Even sometimes we use extra rooms, 101%, because we use the other rooms which are not supposed to be the rooms, we use spa rooms as well. But when the daily revenue report comes out, it comes like 99.5% or 99%. So we used to debate why we are not able to show 100% occupancy. So the reason is the accounting standard doesn't allow calculation of free room nights as an occupancy percentage. Okay, so but for the strategy point of view, focusing only on occupancy will not help you because the occupancy percentage, if you want to focus on occupancy, you may be compromising on the rates. So it doesn't mean that if your hotel is doing well in occupancy, your hotel is doing very well. It depends on what are the rates that are driving the occupancy. Sometimes to drive occupancy, you need to reduce the rates. Okay, and then the next term is average rate. So average rate, as you know, is the average of your revenues calculated from your paid occupancy. So here is also we are considering only the paid occupancy, not the free occupancy, not the free room nights. So if your hotel revenue is $10,000 and you have 100 paid occupied room nights, paid, not the complimentary ones, then your ADR will be 100. So it's different from the price because you sell your room at different rates to different market segments. You are selling to working guests at a different rate, and you are selling to the travel agent at a much lower rate. So, what is the lowest paying market segment in hotels? Travel agents, groups. Groups also it depends on what kind of group you are having. Usually, it's the government groups which are paying the lowest because their budget is limited by the government spending. Those can pay a much higher rate than a travel agent as well. It depends on what kind of group you are having. Sometimes you have special focus groups which doesn't come to a travel agent, but they are paying much higher rate. For example, golf course, right? So they will pay you a very high rate, sometimes more than transient, but of course lower than the market rate. But they are special focus rates. So the group business is the average rate is only the room rates after we take out the VAT and take out the service charge. So it's always removing that. But for certain areas, we include service charge as well in the ADR. For example, in STR. You know STR? STR is a company which is calculating the data of occupancy and rates and revenues and comparing with the hotels. So they are calculating the revenue including the service money because some hotels accounting wise include service charge in the revenue. Some hotels don't recognize service charge as a revenue. So the hotel revenue and ADR are different. By accounting standards is different as well. Some accounting standard requires you to calculate service charge as a revenue if the guest has no choice to pay. If the guest has to compulsorily pay the service charge, then it's a hotel revenue. But if the guest has a choice to pay or to not to pay, or how much to pay, for example, tips, then that is not a part of the hotel revenue. But the hotel accounting usually differs in different part of the world. Some part of the world recognize service charge as a revenue, and some are not. And some it depends on the hotel policy. Okay, here in traditionally, practically in Myanmar or any in Southeast Asian countries, service charge is not recognized as an income. It's taken separately and distributed to the staff. But because STR is a global parameter, and they are comparing from different hotels in different regions, so they include service charge as a part of the income, and the ADR and average rate what they are calculating is include the service charge. Okay, so the rate again, if you are trying to drive the rates, higher rates, then it means if you are just only focusing on the rates, then you are ignoring the occupancy part, right? Okay, so the next one is the RevPAR, which is combination of both occupancy and rate. The formula to calculate RevPAR is room revenue, only room revenue divided by the available rooms. Or alternatively, you can multiply occupancy with the ADR. So you will get a RevPAR automatically. The good thing in this matrix is that it considers both volume and the value, the price and the quantity. So if you are comparing RevPAR with other hotels, or if you are comparing RevPAR from previous year to this year, it eliminates the difference in strategy to focus on occupancy or focus on the rates. So you are able to see the impact of your decisions, whether you are focusing on occupancy or whether you are focusing on the rates. So you will be able to understand what has impacted on your hotel business. Since the hotel revenue is impacted in either way, if you focus on occupancy or focus on the rates, the result will be displayed by the RevPAR. So it's and then the next terminology which we normally fall into the trap is GOP percentage. Most of the hotels or the general managers or the owners are fussy about the GOP percentage. While GOP percentage is a good measure because it's a profit and that comes to your pocket. And so this is a pretty important thing, but it's a percentage only. If your revenue is low, your profit is low, your percentage may be very high. But it doesn't mean you have that much of income, right? So sometimes you should be not focusing on the percentage itself, because when the revenue is, let's say you have $100 revenue or $100,000 revenue, you are usually making 40,000, 50,000 in profit. Next year your your revenue goes down to maybe half, but your expenses will not go half. So your GOP percentage will drop significantly, right? So does that mean the hotel has performed bad? It does not, right? Because it's depend on the market situations as well. So focusing only on GOP percentage will not give you the right results. And GOP percentage can be manipulated. For example, you want to push on a higher GOP percentage. The hotel managers can control the repair maintenance cost. They will not repair anything. So let the property fall down. So your GOP percentage will be very high. But the condition of the property itself will be very bad. or they may not focus on the guest satisfaction areas, right? So if you are not spending on the guest satisfaction or not on the loyalty things, then your profit percentage will be very high, but it's not sustainable. At some point of time, after a few months or few years, because you are not maintaining your property, you are not focusing, you are not spending on the guest satisfaction or the amenities, your business will start to drop. I mean, keeping the other factors in sync, the GOP percentage alone focusing will not be the right strategy as well. So this is how you calculate GOP before management fees. Some hotels are owned and operated by the same owners. Some hotels are operated by the chains, for example, Accor or IAG or other Marriott, other big hotels. So the GOP percentage is always calculated before management fees because how it does shows your operating performance. And operating performance is not because of is not impacted by the who is managing it. It can be managed by itself, or you are hiring another company to manage it. So the management fee is not a part of GOP percentage when we calculate. So it's always before the management fee. Because if you are, especially when you are comparing the performance of two different hotels, one is managed by the own same company and one is managed by the owners or managed by the managed companies. So the operating performance has to be compared before the management fee, not after the management fee. But for owners, it's after the management fee because this is what they get there, right? So it's different view. If you want to compare only the operating performance, then it's before management fee. But from owner's perspective, if you want to compare the operating performance, I will compare after the management fee because that's what I get net, right? Okay. The next one is the TripAdvisor rankings. We are also, I don't know how many of you are pushing on the higher TripAdvisor rankings. Higher TripAdvisor rankings definitely drives higher business because it's giving you the guest is getting a better review of the property. They are more like if you are booking by yourself, you are highly likely to book hotel if the TripAdvisor ranking is higher. But TripAdvisor ranking can be manipulated very easily, right? You can go and do the fake reviews. Even though TripAdvisor now are getting very smarter and they identify the fake reviews, but it's possible. It's possible to do. So focusing only on another pitfall of focusing on TripAdvisor ranking is if you push too much on TripAdvisor ranking, the hotel staff they will focus only on few guests because by nature of nationality or the culturally, every guest has a different. Europeans, Americans, they are more likely to give you a higher TripAdvisor ranking because they are easily satisfied, right? If you just do smile to them because the hospitality difference is there, and that part and this part is entirely different, right? So if you just smile a bit and take care of a bit, they are very happy. Compared to the Chinese or to the Asians or to the Southeast Asians, you take care of them and you die. You will still not get the 5 stars unless they are also traveling to the different part of the world and then they are more mature travelers or appreciating. So it depends on the guest mix of the property. The TripAdvisor ranking will differ. If you have more on Asian, Chinese, Singaporean nationalities, your TripAdvisor ranking may not be very high. But it does not reflect that your service is not good. Okay, your service may be excellent, but your TripAdvisor ranking may be very bad, depending on who are your customers and who are putting your reviews and how focused you are on TripAdvisor. So if I am a smart property manager, I will choose the guest, which one I am going to focus on and requesting them to do a TripAdvisor ranking. Right? Hotels sometimes they do a policy, they do a promotion. Oh, to get a TripAdvisor ranking, we specifically ask the guests, or we give them a lunch, or we give them dinner, free ice cream, free beer. So you can get higher TripAdvisor rankings. But that does not mean that overall service is good. Right? Sometimes you feel you go to a hotel, the TripAdvisor ranking is super high, but when you go, the basic facilities are not there. Another one is FIT and group segmentation. So we normally try to focus on FITs. So who is paying higher rates, FIT or group? FID, right? Room rate, yes. But how about the total revenue, folio revenue? What is folio revenue? The folio revenue is your room charge plus F&B plus spa plus meeting facilities, correct? So if you have a group which is paying you the room charge may be very low, but they are spending lunch and dinner in the hotel. They are using the meeting facilities in the hotel. They are using the spa. Their overall revenue per room may be higher than what FIDs are doing. But the problem is the groups are not regular. They come once in a year, maybe once in a month. FIDs are regular. So how you focus on the segmentation, which segmentation you should be focusing more? It depends on the hotel's business and hotel's policy. You cannot generalize. You should be focusing only on FIDs or you should be focusing only on groups. Right? It depends. And different groups have different folios. But the key is you identify which are most performing segments for you. But you never focus only on the room revenue. It has to be the folio revenue, the total revenue per occupied room from that particular group or for that particular segment. So we see the folio revenue for each segment separately, from travel agents, from direct booking, from corporates, from government, or from the groups. So for FID stands for fully independent, frequent individual travelers. And then they are called less than 10 rooms. If any group, even if a group of people, four, five rooms are traveling together, but they are less than 10 in number. So from finance or accounting side, in the usually or in the profit and loss, they will be considered as FIDs, even though they are 5, 6, or even though they are coming from a travel agent in a group. So they will still be considered as FIDs. Take a situation where you get a booking for 12 rooms. So initially it will be considered as a group booking. Right? By the time the actual materialization comes, it drops to 6. So how will you record it? Group or FID? I think we should move it to FIDs. It will be considered as FID because it's less than 10 rooms. Even though the original booking was for 12 and we considered as a group. That's why you usually have a clause in your contracts. The rates are supposed to be if you have more than 10 rooms. If you less than 10, if the group size below reduced to less than 10, you usually increase the rates. So if you see a group contract, if your group contracts has this clause, then it's well and good. But if you don't have it, maybe you should consider putting it there. And the problems we have discussed with these matrices these are standalone matrices and does not tell the hotel's overall performance picture. So now we are going to look at a couple of more matrices which are new in nature. So one is total revenue per available room. So we have discussed RevPAR, right? So RevPAR is room revenue per available room. So as I said previously also, we look at total revenue. What is the total revenue? So that you can maximize the space in the hotel. Your hotel has a specific space, right? You have F&B business, you have outlets, you have gift shop, you have spa. But if your guests are coming, some segments are coming and spending only in the room, not in the spa.